my personal Facebook page, Marianne Hanson, but I thought I'd just jump on and go live quickly. It's not really going to be a long thing, but it's a topic which has been coming up for people, and it's about first dates, and part of it is to do with First Dates, the TV show, because I've been watching a lot of that. There's the normal one, and then there's First Dates Beach Club, which I watched the other night, and it's also just about everyone on social media these days is talking about some people are going on dates so that they can get a free meal. Some people are expecting too much on a first date. So it's a bit of that really. And I'm not saying I'm the expert. Okay, I'm not going to say, I'm having a dry spell at the minute, so I'm not going to say that in this relationship where I met the person on the first date. That one thing I will say, and I will say that, is that I've never not got a second date. Sometimes it's led to a third or a fourth, but I've never been on a first date and not been asked on a second one. So I'd say I've got some sort of, give myself a bit of a pat on the back for the fact that I must be doing something right. And in the last person that I went on a date with, who I met on Hinge, this was probably 6 months ago, I asked them, because they were on the first date, they were talking about all the women that were putting up selfies and then they didn't look the same. Women that were asking for money, women that were doing this, and I was thinking, oh no. And then I got a second date and I said, what led you to ask me on the second date? And they said it was because he didn't say 10 out of 10, but he said there was no issues. He says it was a perfect first date. And he said that he wanted to see me again. So I'm just going to give you some tips. And I'm also going to intertwine it with First Dates, the TV show. So First Dates Beach Club is just a different take on First Dates, the TV show. It's where they go abroad, this time in Spain, and they go to this beach club, and Fred, who obviously runs the First Dates restaurant, he's still there, the same staff are there, and a few Spanish ones. And the idea is to go on a date, and then you decide if you're still interested in the person, and then you come back on day 2 for your second date. And then it gives, yesterday, because it was the last one, it gave all the updates of where people are and whether they stayed together. So I want to talk about 2 people who went on the show. There's probably more than 2. In fact, I'll talk about 3. Let's start with the twins. So these are 2 twins. They're part Zambian, I think they said, and part Irish or English. And they're both pretty girls in their 20s. Got that usual look that you see everywhere. You see it on Instagram, you see that people are doing this. I don't understand it myself. Do you know where they're doing the lipstick, where it's over your lips? Not over your lips, it's like a child has done it. So your lips look bigger, but you do your lipstick messy. I think it's the messy look. Same as with the eyebrows, the fluffy look. There's all sorts of things which to me, I'm looking at and I'm thinking, I'm not going to get involved in that. But if people find it, they want to do it, that's fine. So they've got that sort of look, but still really pretty women. One of them was really interested in one of the guys that was high. Everyone would talk about First Dates, the program, and also in First Dates for real. So one of them was really interested. These are the twins that were on First Dates, the show. And she was getting on well with the guy and everything else. The other one, I don't think she really fancied the guy, but she was on TV. Her sister fancied the other one, and she thought, you know, you could tell from her eyes and body language that she wasn't that into this guy, but he was fully into her. Now, when it really came to light, because they were chatting and they were talking in a really nice way, and she was doing the normal thing that sometimes people do on dates, when I can tell the difference between someone who is, I'm not going to call it what you call it. Yeah, when you're making it seem as though everything's perfect. So you're complimented. And it wasn't genuine. It didn't come across as genuine to me anyway. So she was doing all of this. But then she did the normal thing that sometimes women do. I've never done this in my life. I've never taken out my purse to pay for the meal as like a pretend thing. And then thinking that the guy's going to say, oh, no, leave it. Because if you're actually saying that, it means really you've got the opportunity to pay, you've got the money to pay. So anyway, at the end of this date, this on First Dates, everyone that's joining, the guy said, what should we do? No, the bill came, and then she took her purse out and said, oh, let's go halves. And she didn't want to go halves, but she said it. And then he said, which is the right thing to say, okay, let's go halves. No, they both went halves. And then in the interview, she was slating this guy This is what I'm trying to say about people. She was slating him, saying, I've never had to pay for a meal myself. Why did he didn't pay and stuff? Why are you not knocking a point off him when you offered to pay and you just thought you was doing it as like a trick? But then that also showed that she wasn't really that into him as she was saying it. Anyway, that's one person on this beach club. That one isn't as bad as some of the others. Not even bad, because we're not looking at, it's not about good and bad. Yesterday when I was watching, two people caught my attention. You got a lady that came on there. She had beautiful teeth. She's a dentist, young woman, 27, and she's got the same, like lots of people these days are saying they want to achieve everything by 30. The interesting thing is, what about when you've achieved all of those things by 30? What about the rest of your life then? Have you got no other goals? You know, or what? It's, but anyway, that's good. That would take me down another path. This woman was 20. There's nothing wrong with having goals, because I have goals myself, and goal setting is fine. I don't usually set goals that involve other people, unless because there's nothing because goals that involve other people mean you're putting yourself under extra pressure. Goals that involve yourself is less pressure, because you know that like you can do it in your own timing. Her goals were to have 2 dogs, 3 children, and a house by the age of 30. So she's 27. She wants all of that in 3 years, and it's fine as well. The only thing is, she said that to the person on the first date. Now, this guy was saying, I don't like being under pressure when someone has a life plan, and then I feel like they're telling me about it, so that makes it seem like I have to be part of it. So I'm glad that he sort of was honest enough to say that. He didn't say it to her, he said it to the camera. But this is the thing, she's got this plan all set out, and she's sharing this with someone she's only just met. But then the weird thing, it got weirder. She took off her sandals. I don't know if this is some sort of flirting thing, but I've never seen anything like it in my life. She took off her sandals and put her bare feet. Then she took his sandals off and put her feet next to his feet. If someone did that to me on a date, then they're not seeing me again. If someone took off their shoes and then told me to took off my shoes and then put our feet together in the air as well. It wasn't just on the floor, not playing footsies, nothing like that. She put her foot up in the air and put his foot next to. I don't know what was going on. There's some sort of maybe fetish. But anyway, he was looking as though like, what is this? What is happening here? And also, he was saying secretly, there's no chemistry, there's no spark. But I think it was because of like those two things, because she's pretty, and he was complimenting her outfit. But those two things that she did were a bit out there for him. So he's thinking, but then the worst part about it is he still said yes to going on a date. But later on when they did the follow-up, it said it didn't work out. Sometimes people say yes for the second date when they're on TV because there's cameras rolling. But he already said on camera that 1, he felt under pressure because she had this life plan. And 2, he felt it was weird that she did the foot thing. So he still decided to go on a date with her. But it wasn't going to go anywhere. The third person, before we look at real dates, is a guy, nice looking guy, black guy, dressed really well. The girl he was dating, dual heritage, they had like a good chemistry to start with. You got 2 people, they were vibing, they were saying, he was saying that we're vibing. They were getting on really well, there was good communication. I was thinking, looks good. Then he started talking about grapes. Now, there's nothing wrong, right? I like ice cream. I like cakes. I like, whether it's food, music, TV, anything. There's no off-limits topics. But what you have to think about is you have to know how to have the conversation, but you also have to know when you're going on too much. Now, this guy that was it. First, he's talking about he likes grapes. Grapes is a great snack. Fair enough. Leave it at that. Move on to another conversation. This guy's talking about asking the woman, do you prefer black grapes, green grapes, red grapes? Then he's talking about grapes from M&S taste. If you saw her face when he was going on and on and on, I was like almost like head in my hands because I was thinking, no. It's a shame because the thing is, he still thought there was an opportunity, but it was also a shame because they would have been a good match. And the only problem is, what people have to realise is you don't get a second chance to make a first impression, as they say. So to get the second date, hi Bernardo, I won't answer that. I'll leave it. If you follow my channel, you'd know the answer to that because you've seen my videos. So anyway, So if you subscribe, you can look at the videos and that will give you an idea to that. So here's like just a few little tips, and that's all I'm going to say really about is the first thing you have to think of is people make their impression of you in the first 7 seconds, and that's just life. And every person that is telling you that you're not like being judged, you are being judged. You're being judged when you walk down the street with what you wear. You're being judged on how you communicate. You're being judged on how you look. It's part of life, and it's not a bad thing. As in, like, if you can just accept the fact that not everyone's going to like you, and everyone's probably going to judge you, and sometimes you're going to get judged wrong. You know, that is just the fact. You might not have even said anything, and someone might judge you. So the way to think about it is when you're turning up for that first date, that person doesn't know you, they've never met you, you've probably spoken a few times. I know when I've been on first dates, it's either been, I'd rather get the date out of the way sooner than later. All the conversation online, because I've done that before. Previously, I've had loads of conversation with someone. The conversation has been really good. You've met the person in person, no energy, no chemistry between you. And that is really sad when that happens, because it's kind of like, you don't know why there's no chemistry, but there just isn't. You don't know why the energy is different, but it just is. And you've then spent ages building up, having conversations. So what I learned a long time ago was to just have a few chats, then meet up, and you'll know from there a little bit. So all it really is about is gathering information. I treat a first date as just an information gathering exercise. All you're trying to figure out is, you know, a little bit of information. So the first thing people need to consider is how much do you want to share and what do you want to share? Personally, there's nothing wrong if you want to go deep and share things about, you know, bereavement, share things about illness. I would never do that on a date, but I'm not telling other people what to do, because yes, it's the advantage is you're showing a vulnerable side, and if you watch first dates, it goes back either way. Sometimes the person will say it was a bit too deep for a first date. Other times the person will say, I'm really glad that this person opened up to me. Hi, I'm Donald. So it's up to you. You almost need to say to yourself, just be yourself. It's about being authentic. If you're authentically someone that would meet a stranger in the street and start talking to them about like personal things, or if you feel that's a way to connect, then you can do that. But it's a gamble, isn't it? Because you don't know that person and they don't know you yet. So me personally, I stay away from deeper topics. I've done not deep conversation, because, you know, I had a date once where we spent, was this after Michael Jackson or before he died? It might have been after or before. Yeah, we were talking about like Michael Jackson and what's our favourite Michael Jackson songs, but that's because he was into that, right? Like Michael Jackson, I was, and I think it might have been just after like he died and things, and we were just reminiscing and stuff. And we've also, you have to judge it on the person. If the person's going deep and they're opening up, you could decide you want to do that, matching the person's like energy or communication. But personally, the first date, you keep it fun if you can. The other thing is do something memorable. This is why I can only say that I've had like people say, I want to meet you again for the second date. I've sometimes said, no, I don't think it kind of worked out. But if I'm completely honest and I know that there's nothing there, I'm not going to lead someone on by going on a second date. But if there's like a potential and it's like, maybe I'll still say yes to a second date. But yeah, it's nice to be asked. And the thing is, you have to be memorable. The problem is that everyone's going on these dating sites and everyone's asking the same questions and everyone's giving the same answers. So if you've had 10 dates with a woman or a man and they've all said, oh, when was your last relationship? When did that end? Everyone asks that question. I don't even know why, but that's always like a first date question. What else? Things like, oh, where's the last place you travelled to? All the rest of it. Throw something in there that the person isn't expecting, but also that is going to give that person an insight into who you are. So a good example, I went on a date with someone. I'm into reality TV shows, and I applied to go on Big Brother. So this was years ago. I didn't go on it. I got invited to the studio and I turned it down because I thought I don't want to go on it. I'll throw that in maybe if we're talking about something. That is giving that person an indication of a part of me a side of me that they think, oh, okay, what is it about reality TV? They might open that up. You might also share that if you're going to share that you've been on holidays, instead of just saying I went to this country or that country, you could throw in something you did there, which might also share with that person your adventurous side. So you could say, you know, when I went to Mexico, I did scuba diving. I've shared that as well. I can't swim. And when I did the scuba diving under the caves, it's the scariest thing I've ever done, and it's something I probably wouldn't do again. But it's when you open up conversation, not only about the activity you done, not only the fact of like it was fearful, but also what it's telling that person in front of you what type of person you are, without having to like go like too deep. So it's having different conversations. It's having fun as well, a little bit of fun. It's being memorable. Because if you, as I've said, if people are interviewing, and dating sometimes is like an interview when you've got these people. One guy I dated years ago, we're friends on Facebook now. Hi, Donald, what you've put? I want to take you out on a date. Oh my God, listen, I'm just, let me, you'll have to inbox me later because I can't just say yes, but thank you for asking. Anyway, because you've thrown me off now. So years ago, I was dating this guy and he'd been on 200 dates. 200. Now, I respect that. I respect the fact that someone has got the energy and someone has got the patience to go on 200 dates. However, I was date 201. So I said to him from the offset, if you've been on dates with 200 women and you still haven't found the right person for you, then I don't know, I said, how I feel about that, because I said, what is it, how is it possible to like go on to meet 200 people and none of them be suitable? It was almost giving me the impression that he's fussy, and he was fussy. We laughed and we ended up being friends, and I'm still friends with him now. I think he did end up getting engaged and he's got a baby and stuff, but I liked his dedication. You know, he had a mission that he wanted to meet someone, but 200 dates, that is a lot. So what I'm trying to say though really is most of those are going to be how people are going to stand out if you're dating that many people. And that's sometimes what people are doing. They're going on Hinge, they're going on eHarmony, they're going on, I know most of these, they're going on Bumble, and everyone is putting the same things in their profile and everyone is asking the same questions. So you have to be memorable if you do get that date, but also if you're online dating, say something not shocking. You don't need to be sending nude pics to people. You don't need to be saying really extreme things to get attention, but just something that's going to make that person think, oh, out of all the people I've spoke to, I've been told a lot of times people will say, oh, this is an interesting date, or they say this is interesting. Now I know that interesting can mean either way. It can mean a positive or negative, but I'd rather someone calls the date interesting, or they say, oh, this feels nice, or you've got lots of banter, or because it means that they're going to want to see you again normally. So you've got to be memorable. You've got to make the date like a little bit interesting. You've got to say something that is different from everyone else. And the other bit is there's got to be a little bit of flirting in there. Now the flirting bit, it's the guy that I met on Hinge. What I liked is that he was very serious, but I liked the seriousness, and he was staring at me like this. I did like the eye contact. But then I said something, and then he's sort of like, it felt like we could have a laugh. It felt like I could like it on for the first date, but I still kept maintaining that, you know, this is just the first time I'm meeting this person. But I think I said something like, oh, I don't normally wear heels, because I walked up and there was cobbles and stuff. And I said, I don't usually wear heels if I'm on cobbles and stuff, but I was coming on a date, so I made what did I say? I made an effort. And then he looked under the table, and I said, stop looking under my dress. And we just had like a bit of a laugh about that. He was giving like innuendos, but nothing too far. So it wasn't offensive, nothing too far. So you have to have that little bit of, as I mentioned earlier about this guy with the grapes. This guy on first dates probably thought sharing like about him liking grapes and things was some sort of like flirting thing. But you have to get it right. Do you know what I mean? You can be a little bit cheeky with it. You can be a little bit flirty. But hi, Becco. But I think flirting will demonstrate if there's any like chemistry there between you, and also it will demonstrate what sort of reaction you're going to get. And the other thing is that you have to bear in mind is appearance. You know, it's as I said, this 7-second thing. To me, I'll go all out on the first date, and I'll do that because I go all out anyway when I'm talking about like presentation. So I'm not going to wear anything that I wouldn't normally. I'm not going to go out and buy like a new outfit and wear my hair differently and go over the top. I do my hair, my makeup, and I dress up anyway. So that is the best version of me. You want to show the best version of you on that date. It's not about being fake. Don't go out and do your hair in a different way that you would do it. Wear a suit if you don't normally wear a suit and that sort of thing. But you can make an effort. I'll tell you what, when I've been on a few dates in the past where they've come, I'm wearing like a red dress, not red dress, I'm wearing a black dress, heels, I've spent ages getting ready. It doesn't even matter if like, you know, I'm not 100% into this person. To me, it's about me as well, showing the best version of myself. When you then see someone turning up and they've got stains on their t-shirt, they're wearing it's not to do with even it's nothing to do with designer wear, it's nothing to do with having to go over the top. To me, it's effort. Effort is still in my top 3 things. You know, if you're going to go on the date, then at least present yourself. And what people have to realize again is that if you've got one person who you're going on a date with that week and they're just looking as though they haven't made an effort, and then you've got another person you're going on the date with the same week and they go all out and they present themselves well, the person is probably going to choose the person who's well presented. And the thing is, it's nothing to do with its personality, still comes into it, and it's nothing to do with people paying for the meal, all this sort of stuff. It's not to do. To me, I'm the type of person who I'll bring my own money, so it's not about you paying for the meal. I'll dress up anyway, so if you choose to do that, then you get points. You get a point if you do make an effort with your appearance, but that's not going to be a make or break it. If everything else is there, you've got the intelligence, the conversation, you've got the character, there's chemistry between us, there's something, then that's probably enough to like carry it forward to more than that. But what people don't like sometimes do is they just treat it as being, oh, well, maybe we'll see each other again and then I can wear my favourite dress. Or when we're dating, that's when I'll do this or that. You won't get an opportunity to get on the second date, or you won't get an opportunity to be in a relationship unless you start first with the first date, presenting the best version of yourself. And that's male or female. That's all you can really do. Best version doesn't mean being fake. It doesn't mean laughing at someone's jokes when you don't think they're funny like they do on first dates. It doesn't mean pretending that you're into someone where it's clearly that you're not. You would not really look at that person. That other woman as well, the woman I mentioned on first dates who was complaining about the guy paying for the meal, she also showed another side, because the guy said, what do you feel about men who have children? And she said, because she didn't know he had children, I would prefer to date someone who didn't have children so that we could have children. He then turns around and says, I've got a daughter. Her facial expression could not lie, because her facial expression was not good when he said that. However, because she's on camera, but also because she's doing this thing, as I said, pretending that she's interested in, which sometimes people do, and I don't know why, but they do. She then just said, oh, that's so cute, and how old is she? And start trying to make a conversation about the child. But you've already said that you're deal breaker, or that you're not that interested in someone with a child. But and the reason he asked you that first, instead of saying, I've got a daughter, is because if he wanted to see what her reaction would be. So that's the thing. It's about being yourself, be authentic, but just, present the best version of yourself, but be honest, be authentic. That's it. Just be memorable. Have a bit of mystery as well. The last thing before I go, because I could go on all day about this, is when I've gone on a date with someone, and I'm curious about something which they haven't told me, but they've shared snippets of it, I'm always more intrigued about seeing them again. I'm thinking, oh, they mentioned this place, or they mentioned this thing, but they didn't go into too much detail. So they're leaving a mystery. And I think everyone likes that. Everyone likes that idea of there's more to this person, but I haven't found it out yet. And that's why, if you can, try to go on dates that are 2 to 3 hours long. One more story before I finish, because I've got loads of dating stories. Years ago, and this was online as well, it was eHarmony. So I met this guy, and he was from London, and obviously I'm from Birmingham, and everything was fine. We were chatting online, And then we said, Leo, let's meet up, let's go for lunch. So we said lunch because to me, yeah, that's the other thing. I usually go, I prefer, for first dates, I normally do lunch, and then for second, third or fourth, I might do dinner or something. I'll try and keep it 2 to 3 hours. 3 hours, 2 hours maximum normally. This guy booked his train ticket, or coach ticket, sorry, it wasn't even a train. From 12 o'clock when we were meeting for lunch, he booked his, what's it called, return coach ticket at 7:30 in the evening. Now this is I don't know what was going on there, but this guy probably thought because he's coming down from London, he's going to spend 7.5 hours with me. I'm not spending 7.5 hours with a person I don't know on a first date. So anyway, this is what happened in the end. We had our lunch, and he was being a bit frosty anyway to start with. This guy was so distracted on his phone. He's looking down at the food, hardly looking at me. That's what I said with the other guy. At least there was eye contact. He was just looking around. He didn't seem like he wanted to be there. And I thought, you don't want to be here on this date, but you've booked like you coached for like another 7 hours away. Anyway, I thought, I'm not spending 7 hours with someone that I don't know. And I'm not taking them to my house. So we're not going to just be messing around. So we had our meal. And then we went for a walk around like Birmingham City Centre and that sort of thing. And then what I did, in fact, which was nice of me, I went back to the coach station and I negotiated with them so that he could get an earlier coach. Now, I still spent another extra, I think, hour and a half with him. We still went around town and stuff, but it was a bit awkward. It was that thing of we both know we're not really matched or suited, but he did make the effort to come down from London. But it was just the presumption of like, if you're coming for lunch, because I wouldn't have minded going down to London as well, or we could have met halfway. If I'm on the sites or if I'm in person and someone is from wherever they're from, I'll always suggest meeting in the middle. Hi, Maximus. You've put please. Yep. What does that mean? Are you being cheeky? I don't know what that means, so I'll leave it for now. Can you expand on that? Because I don't know if you're saying expand, because I don't know what that means. So yeah, I don't mind going halfway with people. And thank you, Young Styles, I think CO something Styles. Thank you, thanks for the compliment. But the thing is, that's where the mystery part comes in. But also that's where you can if you push it too far, and you spend 7, 10, 8 hours. And do you know what? I'm not saying to everyone to do what I'm doing. I'm from the UK, yeah. Some people will have a date and then they'll go take each other back to their place on the first date. They'll sleep together and then they'll end up getting married and everything will be fine. Other people will go for dinner, then for lunch, then they'll go for drinks, then they'll go to a club, then they'll spend, no, I'm not from London. They'll spend the whole time together. It can still work out. The thing is, when someone is going on that first initial date, even whether it's man or woman, most people not only are nervous because it's kind of like you're meeting that person for the first time and you're gathering information, like I said, and you're trying to make a good impression, but also you can there's more opportunities for things to not go wrong, but for things to not work. The shorter you keep it, basically you just go for the date, have your meal, have a bit of a chat. They can leave it up to them, then they can get back in touch with you. I don't even say at the end of a date, like, am I going to see you again? I don't. I just say, I say something like, do I say you've got my number? I usually just say, that was a really nice date. And then I leave it there. Usually on the way home, I'll get a text saying, oh yeah, that was a really nice day and I'd like to see you again. Or it will just be the day after. But I think leaving things when they're not, where there's still a bit of time for you both to reflect. Oh yeah, I had a really good time, and then you've got the rest of the evening to think how the date went. I would prefer that than like spending, overstaying your welcome in a way, because after you've had drinks, after you've had dinner, after you've then been to the cinema, after you've then been to the club, and this is a person you still don't know really well, it's like you're tiring out yourself because you've done too much. A quick short date. And then on the second date, you might do more. Then on the third, fourth, build up to it. On my fourth date with that guy that I knew, I went to his first date. We went for lunch. Second date, we went for drinks, and they're both in public places then. Third date, I went to his house, which I probably, it was only because he said he came. Anyway, yeah, he said he came off holiday and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no. And usually I was like, no, we're going to meet in public, but it was late and stuff. So I thought, go on. And then the fourth date, he came to mine because the tennis was on. I didn't want to miss Wimbledon. And I was like, no, I'm staying in to watch this. It was funny. But, oh, thanks. I don't, again, you've said 3 things here. And I don't know if it's a compliment or a backhanded compliment. So you need to expand, because using the word unique, I don't know if you mean that in a nice way. And then you've said please about something. That's a different person, and I don't know. So yeah, thank you anyway for the comments. But yeah, some of them I don't get. So that's it really. Oh, it's a compliment. Okay, thanks. That's all it is. So think of your own plan before you are even stepping out to go on that date. When you're in those talking stages, just think about, what do I want to leave this person with? What impression do I want to make? You know, how do I want to show the best version of me? And then that's it. If you've done all of that and then that person still doesn't want to go on a date with you, you've done your best, you've been who you are. But if you change things, if you try to be fake, you know, if you try to do what you've heard on TikTok when they're giving you advice about, you know, how to keep a man or what to do on a date. And I'm not saying that like I'm an expert either, but some of the things people are saying, the whole, as I've said, taking out your purse and pretending to pay, that's been advice people have been giving. That backfires on you when you do that, because it's been false. You know, if you're not going to pay, don't take out your wallet. And that shouldn't be like a testing someone. You know, because I don't really get that. But anyway, thanks for joining. You've got fried lice on. Fried lice. I get it. And then you got Maximus, Becco. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining. And this channel, mostly with this channel anyway, is gonna be doing more stuff. I'm just letting you know in advance. I went to the Lake District, obviously, so you can see all the pictures of that, and thank you, everyone's been like commenting on that. I'm not doing it. My first short break isn't going to be till March, because January I'm catching up. It's been crazy, you know. I've been to see my accountant this morning, I've had things to pay for. February I've got a few things happening, birthdays and family birthdays and things, so I'm thinking probably March will be starting the short breaks, but I'm aiming to do at least 6 short breaks, and I will be putting them all on here. So have a good week, everyone, and thanks again for joining. Scouse, I'm not from Liverpool. No, I thought, no. Do I sound like I'm from Liverpool? First you said London. I definitely don't sound like I'm from London or Liverpool. You'll have to guess. Put it in, not in these comments because I'm going there, but put it in the comment under the video. And then if you have 3 guesses and you get it wrong, I'll tell you. So thanks, everyone. Have a good week. Thanks for joining. No, I'm not from Manchester, no. Okay, bye. Bye, everyone. Have a good week.